Hi, everybody. This is Lauren Randolph back with Happy Hour from my hotel wedding. I hope you've grabbed yourself a drink. I have mine and I'm ready to go and talk to you all today about budgeting for your wedding. Just a couple of housekeeping things before I forget. If you have questions along the way during this live chat, feel free to leave them in the comment section of the live YouTube stream. And if you don't get a chance to do it now during the live broadcast, I will be checking them. We'll keep tabs on them and we'll get back to you on any questions you have throughout the time. And thank you all for joining. And I'm excited to talk to you about budgeting for your wedding because budgeting is really one of the first things you'll do in the wedding planning process. So first, I always tell my clients, take a minute and enjoy being engaged. Just relax and be engaged for a while because you only have so much time that you get to be one another's fiance before you become a spouse. And the spouse is kind of forever or long term. So it's a very special time being engaged. So at first, take some time to just be present in that moment and in that space. And then when the time is right and you've done that, it's time to first start talking with all the parties involved with your wedding. So if you're paying for your wedding, just you and your fiance, then sit down and have a conversation about what you can afford to spend. If you have your parents contributing, your soon-to-be parents-in-law, grandparents, whoever may be part of that conversation or contributing, sit down and find out how much they can contribute, what they can give, so that you have a flat total, like you have a number in mind that you can start working off of. Because it's really important to not just go into planning your wedding with arbitrary numbers floating around and I want this, I want that. Like, you need to know what you can spend because most people have to stick with a budget and there is a bottom line they have to stay within. So once you've done that, you'll actually want to start talking to the same people involved, whether it's your parents or also your fiance, the parents-in-law, asking how many people they actually expect to invite. So depending on your background and how many people you know and your parents, you might be having a small intimate wedding of 50 people, or excuse me, you could be having a very large wedding with hundreds of guests. So this directly impacts your budget, of course, as you can guess. So it's good to have that conversation at the very beginning so that you have a solid idea of how many people you'll actually need to budget for on your wedding day. So those are kind of my first two things that you want to sit down and figure out before moving on to the next. So I'm actually going to go through our budget calculator on my hotel wedding with you because it's what I use and is based on a spreadsheet I used to use before we created this online tool for you to budget your wedding. So just a couple of things that, again, I like to tell all my couples after you've gone through the conversation and you have put together a realistic number of guests you'll be having for your wedding. First, don't put your wedding on your credit card. Honestly, getting married is about the marriage and the ceremony and starting your life with somebody. It is not just about the wedding. Therefore, don't start your marriage in debt if you don't have to. So stay as far away as you can from putting your wedding on your credit card unless you are paying it off right away and you're doing it for amazing mileage and points for your honeymoon. So that's one of the first things that I tell couples before digging deep into the budget. The second is to always pad your budget. Give yourself a little wiggle room. Round up on some of those estimates you get for vendors and just pad it a little bit. So if things do go over, excuse me, it's not such a shock and it's not as scary because you've given yourself some wiggle room. And along the same line as giving yourself wiggle room and padding your budget is to give yourself a line item in your budget that is just in case. And that could be just in case you have some last minute invites, just in case you want to spend money on something really special that you didn't know you wanted when you were initially putting together your budget, or just in case you go over somewhere, you have these funds set aside and it keeps you within your budget. Or just in case you don't go over, you can put it towards your honeymoon or something else. So it's really smart to put this line item into your budget no matter what. So even if it's just a small amount of money, really, truly consider it. And then as you're going through the budget, and what you'll see when I jump into that screen is that we calculate all the costs for you, but know that everybody is unique, and sit and talk to your fiance if they want to be really involved in the planning, and ask them or have the conversation, what's most important to you? And think about it yourself. Is it having a great experience for your guest? Is it the food and beverage? Is it the music? Is it the flowers? And so on. So find out what is most important to you about your wedding day, because a budget is really just a guideline on how to allocate your cost. You're going to either increase or decrease what you spend in different areas of your budget based on your answer to this question of what is most important to you on your wedding day. So that is pretty much the things I wanted to preface getting into the budget calculator with for you all to consider. So now let me just get into the calculator for you and figure out how to share my screen. And just make sure I'm sharing the right tab. One moment. Okay. So hopefully now what you're seeing on your screen is our My Hotel Wedding Budget Calculator. Great, I think it's gonna come up now. And what you'll do first, this is completely free, I should say. If you sign up for a My Hotel Wedding account on myhotelwedding.com, the budget calculator is a free tool for you to use. So I suggest that you sign up for a free account with no commitment and you start using this tool. What we've done here is you'll see we have a list of different costs, and we've separated them by hotel, vendors, attire, other, and we've actually included check marks so you can select what does or doesn't apply for you. So if you don't have an overnight guest room, you can unselect it. If you do, keep it selected. And I've also taken the time to put in little hints of information here. So if you wave your arrow over any question marks, you're going to find that it gives you a lot of helpful information in terms of what you're budgeting or what you should be including in those line items. And then you'll also see at the bottom here, we've added it so that you can add items to the budget. So if we've left off something that you are including in your wedding and that you want to budget for, just type it in here, select the category, and add it to that section, and it'll be added in. So to start it off, these are the percentages that, excuse me, I've come up with and have found to be pretty accurate based on my 12 years experience in the industry. So to start, I would put in your budget. So I'm just gonna put in the average wedding budget, and let's say there are 120 guests. So you'll see that as soon as I put in that wedding budget, we've already estimated the cost for food and beverage at your hotel and any venue rentals. Now, if you're at a location that is not charging you to rent the space, wonderful, and you can combine this amount into your food and beverage costs and spend more on your food and beverage, or reallocate it to whatever line item you would like for your budget. So we've made it really easy. All of the percentages automatically calculate out what you should be looking at in terms of your spend. And then as you start talking to vendors, you can start putting in your estimates in the second column, and you can start putting in your final costs here in the third column to really start tracking your budget. So if I'm talking to my photographer and they're like, well, it'll be $2,500. Awesome. I can enter that in, and it'll help me keep track of kind of where my estimates are coming in, and then as well as my final costs. And then something else we've done is, as you use the hotel search on our website, you'll see that we ask the hotels for their per person budget. So based on your total amount of people that you've put in, and based on your estimated food and beverage cost, we've come up with this number for you. So if you choose to use our free tool on our website, which is our hotel search, and you can send your request for proposal or wedding information to hotels, we've already calculated the per person budget cost, so you can easily see if it's a hotel that's within your budget or not, and then reallocate it if you need to raise your budget. But so this is how the calculator works. And then I also want to note we have built in this just in case tool that I mentioned at the beginning, because as I said, it's really important to involve it. And the beauty of this is that you can check and uncheck things that apply or don't apply. So the efficient fees may or may not apply, transportation may or may not apply, and some of your costs may be higher and lower than what we've estimated. So feel free to update those costs and manually type them in, and it'll automatically save for you. So part of going through the budget process too, I should add, let me go back to our main screen. Something I should add too is that the budget is a living, breathing document, and it's going to change over time. You may start with one amount, you may start with different amounts in mind, and then as you start talking to hotels, as you start talking to vendors, your budget's going to change, and it's going to become kind of a game of manipulating the numbers and what can you save on and what can you take away from to fit within your budget and to stay in line with, again, those questions of what's most important to you on your wedding day. So know that you'll constantly be changing and updating your budget. And so revisit it almost daily, if not weekly, as you're planning your wedding and going through the process. I think it's really important that as you're talking to vendors, you're updating your budget so that you understand what's realistic and what's not, and your expectations as you're budgeting for your wedding. So I hope you found this helpful. I'm just going to check and see if we've gotten any questions here. And I don't think so. Great. Well, please let us know. I mean, as I said again and again, I am here to make the wedding planning process easier and more understandable and less scary to you. So if you have questions, please feel free to email us at info@myhotelwedding.com or reach out to us on social media. We also have a full service wedding planning e-course at theweddingcourse.com, and we're also running a survey until the end of the month here, and because we want your feedback and we want to know what you think and how we can help you more in terms of finding that perfect hotel and venue for your wedding day. So let's see, I think that's all. And then remember that you can send your wedding requests for free through our website, myhotelwedding.com, and get quotes to compare from different hotels across brand. And remember to join me next week, as next week we'll be talking about why a wedding planner is really essential for your wedding day. And as somebody in the business, I am excited to tell you all the perks and why that expense that people like to kind of not have or throw out and think they don't need is in fact really implemental in having a smooth and memorable wedding day. So thank you for joining me at My Hotel Wedding Happy Hour, and I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. Cheers.